The phenomenon of depopulation of young people occurs in Japan. As a result, many schools were forced to close due to not having students. In news Reuters last weekend, 2 students named Ida Sato and Aoi Hoshi became the only and last graduates at Yumoto Middle School, which is located in Tenne Village, Fukushima Prefecture, northern Japan. The junior high school itself will be closed permanently, after 76 years of existence. We heard rumors of a school closing in our second year, but I didn't imagine it would actually happen. I was shocked, said Ida. The phenomenon of closing schools occurs due to the birth rate in Japan falling faster than expected. Depopulation numbers are increasing especially in rural areas such as Tenne, a mountain ski area, and hot springs in Fukushima Prefecture. The birth rate alone has fallen below 800,000 in 2022, a new record low. Government estimates call depopulation also 8 years earlier than expected. This phenomenon dealt a crushing blow to smaller public schools, though these are often the heart of towns and rural villages. According to government data, around 450 schools close every year. Between 2002 and 2020, nearly 9,000 schools closed their doors forever, making it difficult for remote areas to attract new, younger residents. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida stressed that his country's problems of low birth rates and an aging population must be addressed immediately. To that end, the Japanese government will form a special agency. According to Kishida, many developed countries are also experiencing the same problem. However, the problems faced by Japan are considered acute, considering that the World Bank records that the proportion of the population aged 65 years and over is the second highest in the world, after Monaco. The number of births is expected to fall below 800,000 last year, Kishida told lawmakers in a policy speech marking the start of a new parliamentary session. Here are another impact of Japanese sex recession. Ghost house phenomenon. According to a survey conducted by Japan's Housing and Land Ministry of the Interior in 2018, there are 62.4 million houses in Japan, out of which 8.49 million houses are unoccupied. Most of these vacant houses are located in rural areas of Japan, while in Tokyo, 1 in every 10 houses remains unoccupied. With a population of 125 million, Japan has long been facing the issue of a declining birth rate, and the state must take steps to address the needs of the growing elderly population. However, according to the Asahi Shimbun, many of these unoccupied houses are still habitable and not all of them are in a dilapidated condition. Of the total unoccupied housing in the country, 3.49 million houses have been abandoned for a long time, accounting for 5.6% of the total unoccupied housing. This figure does not include villas and houses rented out to foreign tourists. Empty houses in Japan have reached millions. The Japanese government, through a survey conducted by the Housing and Land Ministry of the Interior of Japan in 2018, noted that there were 62.4 million houses in Japan. And as many as 8.49 million empty houses are not occupied. Most of the vacant houses are in rural areas of Japan, whereas in Tokyo, 1 in 10 houses are unoccupied. Currently, Japan has a population of 125 million. Japan has long struggled to overcome the problem of sex recession in various ways. Not only that, the state must play a role in meeting the growing needs of the elderly population. Quoted from the Asahi Shimbun, millions of uninhabited houses are still livable, not all of them are badly damaged. There were 3.49 million houses that have been abandoned for a long time. That number accounts for 5.6% of the total unoccupied housing in the country. This does not include villas and houses that are rented out to foreign tourists. Population shrinking. Japan's population has been declining since 2007, and the country is projected to lose 1/3 of its population by 2060, according to a report by the National Institute of Population and Social Security Research. This decline is attributed in part to the sex recession, which has led to a decline in the number of births and a rise in the number of elderly people. The declining population has numerous consequences for Japan, including a shrinking workforce and declining economic growth. With fewer workers to support an aging population, there may be a strain on social security systems and a decline in consumer demand, which could impact the country's economy. Furthermore, the declining population also has implications for the future of Japanese society. As the population continues to age and shrink, There may be fewer opportunities for young people, and certain industries may decline or disappear altogether. Economic declining. With a declining population, there are fewer workers to support the economy. This has led to a shrinking workforce, which can lead to a shortage of labor in certain industries and a decline in productivity. The declining population also means that there are fewer consumers, which can lead to a decline in consumer demand and negatively impact the economy. In addition, the aging population in Japan has led to a strain on the country's social security system. As the population continues to age, there are more elderly people who require health care and other social services, which can be costly for the government. The declining birth rate and aging population have prompted concerns about the future of Japan's economy. In response, the Japanese government has implemented various policies aimed at encouraging childbirth and supporting families. These policies include financial incentives for couples to have children, measures to improve work-life balance for parents, and support for childcare facilities. Then why is this phenomenon happening quickly in Japan? Is there a sex recession? Here are the reasons as compiled. Expensive cost of living. The high cost of living is one of the factors why there is a sex recession in Japan. The Economist Intelligence Unit, EIU, report for 2022 mentions Osaka and Tokyo in Japan as cities with an expensive cost of living. The Bank of Japan is of the view that they're not going to artificially inflate the currency and let it fall, so prices will go up. That's one of the reasons why Osaka and Tokyo have really slowed in their ratings, said head AU's worldwide cost of living, Apasana Dutt, cites CNBC International. Crazy work culture. Japan has a pretty hard work culture. It is so common for Japanese employees to work to the death that the country has a term for it called karoshi. But Japan has recently been trying to break away from the grueling overtime culture that has persisted for decades. Japan's own labor law generally limits overtime to 45 hours a month. But if a company encounters extraordinary circumstances and its employees agree to work overtime, they may be granted additional dispensation for working overtime. Even up to 80 hours per month. No more sex. With the high cost of living and an insanely high work culture, it's no wonder that there is a decline in sex among the youth of today's generation. Consequence: no more sex. Japan has one of the lowest fertility rates on Earth. A review of Japan's National Fertility Survey reveals virginity rates are on the rise, with 1 out of every 10 Japanese men in their 30s still a virgin. That puts Japan's virginity level far ahead of other industrialized nations. Most of these people can't find a partner in the market, said Peter Ueda, a public health researcher at the University of Tokyo, citing CBS News. Marriage is a scary specter. For most Japanese, there are only 2 options: work like crazy as a single or get married. Of course, most young people prefer to work like crazy. According to them, marriage is the worst option. For men, marriage means that he works to support his wife and children, while for women, marriage means a life of contract slavery because there is still a strong patriarchal culture there. Especially for women, a woman's chances of being promoted in Japan may even stop once she gets married. Thus, she will end up being a housewife without independent income. About 70% of Japanese women leave their jobs after giving birth to their first child. It's no wonder that the World Economic Forum consistently ranks Japan as one of the worst countries in the world for gender equality in the workplace. Reduced social relations. Lastly, another factor causing the sex recession and depopulation in Japan is the diminishing social relationships. Citing a report by the Institute for Creative Technologies published by the Orange County Register, children of the time now tech-savvy tend to have problems relating to the opposite sex. They are even more comfortable interacting with virtual people, rather than real people. This also happened in Japan. In Japan, more and more are using robots to perform various tasks, and even provide sexual services, as an alternative to real human substitutes. There are various reasons they use the sex robot, one of which is trauma. Sex dolls are a safe space for men to practice healthy sexual interactions without the complexities of normal human relationships, say sex robot dealers. This phenomenal result makes a sharp decline in the number of births. Currently, Japan's fertility rate is already very low, so Japan's population could have if trends continue over the next 100 years.